If you're like me, it's not always easy to control our emotions, is it? Sometimes you can be on such a high and someone has just said something to you or something good happened to you. You're riding a great high and then just like that, a comment, a situation, a phone call sends you down to the bottom again. And if you're not careful, you could go into a depression. Let's talk about that in your morning cup of inspiration. There's no better example for me than Elijah, the great prophet Elijah, to kind of help us put this in perspective. Because our emotions, they run the gamut, don't they? And they're so hard to control sometimes. Elijah was no different. I encourage you to go read 1 Kings, the 19th chapter. Great story. Elijah was used of God in an incredible way. Had a altar that was filled with water. God brought fire down from heaven and destroyed it and licked up the sacrifice. And you need to go read it. He ended up being able to kill all of the Baal prophets. Victorious day for the kingdom. He was used of God in an incredible way. The next thing that happens that the Bible tells us is Jezebel, the king's wife, threatens to kill him. He's just been on this huge high. He hears one threat like that, and he becomes fearful, and he flees and runs out to the desert. Maybe you've experienced the same thing. Maybe you just heard one thing that bothered you and upset you, and it sent you in a tailspin, and you feel like your life is out in the desert. Don't let that happen. He was there. He was to the point of saying, I've had enough, God, take my life. He didn't even want to live anymore. Well, God knows. He knows your situation and knows mine. He knows that that's not truly how Elijah felt. So God strengthened him. He was out in the desert, in the wilderness, in a cave for 40 days being strengthened by an angel. Finally, God says, what are you doing here, Elijah? And Elijah was still down in the mully grubs and said, I'm the only one left. I'm the only prophet. And God encouraged him. God spoke to him in a still, gentle whisper, told him, go back the way you came. I have another assignment for you. And he encouraged him by saying, I've saved 7,000 prophets. You're not alone. So my word for you today is, if you're out in the desert, if you're in a cave, if you're depressed, if you're down, let God encourage you. Don't allow the highs and lows of our emotions to dictate our lives. God's not left you alone. He does have an assignment for you, and we need to listen to that gentle whisper and receive the encouragement of the Lord, that we don't stay down in those sad and depressed times. So I hope that ministered to you today. Love having you follow us for our morning cup of inspiration. Thanks for joining me. God bless.